Everybody's in here. No, seeing us, that's
Sponsor it, I know that.
I mean, everybody's here, but not us.
Yeah, I'm kind of good with them. You know, when you're second. Nothing.
Rincon. Vista.
Aren't we in here? No one knows how to draw. No one knows how to draw.
Man, we get nose to make.
Busy
This is
party.
great.
Well, who's ever drawing these pictures? I don't think they're.
Just the fourth Tuesday of February?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth or third.
This is
I
good.
think it's-
Gonna get to hear from Dorothea too. All 11. This is what you're signing up for.
I don't see 12 candidates.
Hmm.
Speaker slip.
Therese, I'll give a little rundown.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, does that work? Okay. Instead of in the seats, we'll do it up there.
Okay, repeat call to order for the Rainbow Municipal Water District Board of Directors meeting for January 23rd, 2024. Pledge of allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Justice. Roll call, please.
President Hamilton,
Here.
Director Johnson,
Here.
Director Mack,
Here.
Director Townsend Smith,
Present.
they have a quorum. Thank you.
Report of potential action items from a closed session.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board met in closed session to discuss two matters. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2. Both items were discussed. There is one reportable action. The board received a claim for damages regarding an alleged water main break from Kendall Farms, and the board directed that claim be submitted to the district's insurance carrier, the Agua Joint Powers Insurance Authority. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda?
No additions.
Okay, item number 13. Repeat instructions allow public comment on agenda items from those attending this meeting via teleconference or video conference. Do we have any attendees?
We have no members online.
Okay. I'll forego reading all of the instructions. Item number 14, oral and written communications from the public, opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding items not on this agenda. Under oral communications, any person in attendance wishing to address the board regarding matters not on this agenda should indicate their desire by speak by filling out and submitting a speaker slip to the district secretary before the meeting begins. Any person attending the meeting remotely wishing to address the board regarding matters not on this agenda should indicate their desire to speak or may email or mail their comments to the district secretary 1 hour before the open session scheduled start time. All written public comments received will be read to the board during the appropriate portion of the meeting. No action will be taken on any oral communication item since such item does not appear on this agenda. Unless the board of directors makes a determination that an emergency exists and that the need to take action on the item arose subsequent to posting the agenda. Speaking time shall generally be limited to 3 minutes unless a longer period is permitted by the board president. We have two speaker slips, one from Dorothea Flanagan and one from Gerald Flanagan. At this time, I'll recognize Dorothea.
So I didn't have it on the agenda about the.
Excuse me, we need you to speak into a microphone so we can get your comments for the minute.
I'm Dorothea Flanagan, 3224 Gopher Canyon Road, Vista, California. My husband and I came here at the last meeting and told the board and have had constant communication with Mr. Wiley about egregious code, 3 items in the code. I've heard nothing about addressing this or putting it before the board for a vote so we can see which board members are against property owners that an easement or a pipe runs alongside of their driveway. And now the district thinks they can charge rent called a lease for up to 10 years. We have a pipe partially on our 1/10 of a mile long driveway, road, if you will, and a 1-inch pipe going under it. Somehow this board doesn't think they need to pay attention to us. I've lost $21,000 stopping the progress on our concrete driveway. It's been stripped. Half the dirt is gone now. Will have to be regraded because of these unacceptable extortion practices. That if I want to repave my driveway, I have to put an encroachment permit and a lien, if you will, against my property that I've owned free and clear for 44 years. I don't need a landlord now. I have a master's degree in leadership. I suggest that you require Mr. Wiley to get a master's in administration on how to deal with customers, not hide or do backroom deals with permits. This day and age, we're talking transparency, equity, fair and impartial treatment, disclosure, not we'll come in a back room and we'll talk about it. That isn't how a board is supposed to operate. Okay? Have you planned to take a vote on changing 3 very, very bad, hostile to the property owner codes in your right of way? It's called easement encroachment areas, where a person is supposed to have an 80,000-pound fire truck drive on blacktop. You know, we've got better sense than that. And so does CAL FIRE. Actually, you are non-compliant with them. They have code, and it's called 6-inch thick with rebar, and I agree. We're happy to put that. We're happy to put a $200,000 driveway in there so we don't have to be constantly broken up by SDG&E's big. Here's an example, can go around. They put the brakes on after it rains, and now you got big holes in your driveway, and you get to fix it. And they won't pay for it. The district won't pay for it. The fire department says they have code. They're on my side. Okay? Maybe you think we're a couple of old people that you can just ignore us. This board isn't just for your agenda. This is for the citizens. I own my property. I'm not looking to find a landlord. You need to change that one. You need to change out where you're saying 3.5 inches for blacktop. That doesn't support a big crane to come and put a transformer up on a telephone pole. Give me a break. I'm giving you all of these pictures. All they do is bust off your berms, bust up your whole driveway. That's 529 feet long. It's 8,000 square feet with turnarounds for the fire department. I've got a fireman next door to me. He's sick to his stomach. He bought that house with the easement of Rainbow Municipal Water District. Absolutely sick to his
Thank you.
stomach. He never knew what your code was. And no one's telling what your code is. Is that disclosure? No.
Cheryl Flanagan.
When you get to be my age, you don't move as fast as you did when you were 30. My name is Gerald Flanagan. I'm an evangelist, and I've been an evangelist since I was 32, and I'm now 60. That old? Anyways, the reason I put that in there is because I have seen God do things that would make people flip out. And he's been doing those things. I spent 4 years in the Air Force, and God spared my life in the Air Force 3 times. I thanked him for doing it. And then on my way from Ohio to California, coming out of Yuma, I found that there was a sign that said slow crosswinds. And I thought, well, that can't be much. And I looked over and there was people trying to keep a van from blowing over. Well, I had a big moving van with a trailer on the back. And lo and behold, the wind took it off the road. In 1980, there wasn't any guardrails. And if you're familiar with that highway, it was one going and one coming. And that was one to San Diego and one to Yuma. Well, my truck trailer went off airborne. I had my watchdog in the front seat with me. If any of you are dog lovers, mine was a white German police dog. And I was thinking about jumping out of the truck. And then I thought, well, that's kind of chicken to leave your dog in a truck and you jump. Well, anyways, I decided to ride it out. And I looked over the fender to see how far down it was. And I figured 56 foot long would look about that big at the bottom. And so I said, Lord, I'm in serious trouble. And things began to go through my mind. And one of the things it said, it says, you have not because you ask not. And I said, well, Lord, I'm not going to see my house. My wife just bought it. And I said, I'm not going to see California very much at all. And I said, in that case, I've got no complaints. You've been more than fair with me. But then I said, Lord, isn't there anybody in California that needs to hear about Jesus? And I got to tell you, that's the most powerful name under the universe. Because my truck and trailer, now remember, I spent 4 years in the Air Force and flew in everything with wings. My truck and trailer came up level with the highway. And then God set that down on a blacktop to San Diego. And I got to tell you, it was the smoothest landing with that many wheels I had ever experienced. And I only told God, don't you have anybody that needs to hear about your son, Jesus, in California? And that was enough to turn the tide. Well, getting back to my small requests is under our driveways, there are pipe. And those pipes could be 60 years old or better. That's not a problem if they were put in right. And I have to tell you, I don't think any of them were put in right because there's no shutoff valves on them. The only way you can shut them off is you gotta hunt for a main shutoff valve someplace. And it's gonna disrupt a lot of water ratepayers. And so I think it's time that the board would recognize those pipes coming out. They must be able to lift the fire hydrant up and put a plate with a spigot valve on one side, one on the other, that where you can shut them off. So that if there is a problem and it comes up through a driveway area, that somebody can run over and shut that valve off. And it save a whole lot of heartache for all the neighbors. I don't know how many people depend on life water in their sicknesses, but that is an area that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan. Time's up.
And thank you for your time.
Mrs. Flanagan, I really did want to reply to you. Mrs. I have to tell you, we as a board are talking about this issue. We're not discussing this. And I must tell you, I take offense to the fact that you said we do backroom deals. We don't operate that way.
That's the way I was invited to do this, take out an encroachment permit. And that's how we would work that. I don't take out something to hang myself that isn't even right to begin with. This should be out here. All other organizations do a review of their code. What is your problem with reviewing your code? That if somebody puts in a driveway, you guys don't like it, you'll hire somebody to tear the whole driveway out at their expense. You know, the Bible says, and I know you're not interested in it.
I take offense to that again.
Well, good, that's a Democrat talking. You're offended by everything.
I'm
So am I.
independent, by the way.
Excuse me.
And I
Point of-
think
point of
Jake has
order.
been talking to the fire people and we're working on this. That's all I can say.
Not for me, I'm not going in some back permit room, okay, we'll do it for you, but we're not gonna change our code. Or maybe we'll tweak it a little bit for you. You gotta read that code in the right of way. It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Working on it, I lost half my driveway in these rains. They're out in the middle of the road. I already told Jake that was gonna happen. He needs to go take a master's degree in leadership in administration. An engineer is not qualified to run a big water district. You don't have people skills to tell me to go take out an encroachment permit, and then you're gonna talk to me when your code is bad.
Item number 15, employee recognitions.
So this is kind of new for, but wanted to recognize, and I don't know if they're coming in or not. Oh, they're here. Okay, yeah, usher them in.
Jake,
Hmm.
can we open it?
Yes.
You want all of them or one by one?
You just bring them all. Yeah,
Come on
come all in.
Okay.
So anyways, just going through the list of really employee accomplishments for 2023, and it was just really impressive. The both, and it's a wide array of field staff, engineering, some of our IT folks, but some of the accomplishments this year. And I'm going to go through them one by one, just recognize each one of them, but some really impressive stuff. And I'll start with Malik, who's on Zoom. Malik, can you wave there? Okay, so Malik's one of our project managers in the engineering division, and went through actually several significant trainings this year, but really elevating his value to the district. I mean, to be quite honest with you, went through a stormwater training, a programmatic EIR training, and some wastewater operations training through AWWA, but completed all those this year. So that was Malik. And then a bunch of these guys, and this is kind of ongoing, right? Our guys in construction and valves and meters, regardless, kind of continuing their education. And we've just got a bunch of them. Let's see, Bernardo Nunez. There he is, Bernardo. One of our leads on our construction crews. He got his D4. No, he passed his D5. Got his D4 and passes D5. So which is just huge, right? Those are our certifications for our distribution and treatment. So again, just added value to the district and helping these guys further their career. And so we're happy to pay for those things and incentivize these guys to do those things, but obviously it makes the district more resilient. And when we need to go out and turn valves, we've got the guys that are trained to do it, right? But Bernardo Nunez, that's a huge one, a D5. I mean, that takes years experience. I know study, a lot of study to kind of learn all that stuff. Huge accomplishment. We've got Brian Ortiz, who got his D4 this year. So again, a huge compliment. Dennis Mendez and Alex Dagandon, both utility worker 2 in construction, got their D3s. Alex has been here 4 years, Dennis 5 years. So they're moving through these things quickly too, which is really impressive. Francisco Fernandez and David Patton, both utility workers 1s here. They got their D3s as well. Francisco's just been here a year. David Patton 2 years, and Emmanuel got his D3 and his T2. So 2 certifications this year. So anyways, just wanted to celebrate these guys. I think it's worthy of celebration. That these guys are, dedicated to their careers. They're dedicated to Rainbow Water and continue to do those things, that make us a better district. So, and make you better operators as well.
Jake, can you give a little bit of detail of what it entails to get a D4 or a D5?
Yeah, well,
And what is a T2?
yeah, there's kind of 2 tracks, right? You have a distribution operator, so those, out turning valves, operating the system. Water quality is part of that, and on the treatment side as well, water quality. If we've got a treatment plant, you have certain certifications you have to have for different treatment plants. But really it requires, again, 2 things, right? It requires experience. So you have to have a certain amount of experience in the field, a supervisor that'll recommend you to kind of progress. And then also requires you taking a test. And these tests are not difficult. I took the T2 and D2 myself. And as you get further and further along, the tests get more difficult, more complex. And so it takes dedication, right? T2 and D2 you get to pretty quick within the first year or 2, but then from there it's additional experience, additional knowledge, additional, classroom time, sticking your nose in a books, as well as the field experience. And so it's really, you get to a D5, T5, it's a career achievement, right? There's not a ton of those out there. And so
this would be, they would take courses at a school or just in-house?
you can, that's part of it, education, there's classes that prepare you for it. But it's a combination of experience and education that gets you there.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Dave?
Thank you.
I have a I would like to commend all of you because you're doing this as well as your full-time job. So that makes a commitment to your professionalism and your commitment to our district.
Okay, I have a couple more though, so don't leave yet, but a couple of good ones. Freddie Espino, who's in our IT group, he got a certification, and this is really important, I think, as we move forward. You were talking about cybersecurity kind of being this next thing, and I know Freddie and Ahmed have both been, both are kind of the guys that take care of the district from an IT perspective. But Freddie got a certification from Texas A&M. demystifying
Mhm.
cyber attacks and also cyber resiliency in industrial control systems, which is huge for us. So we got a couple of certifications in that. And Ahmed actually got a master's degree. So he got a master's of science in cybersecurity. So obviously, and then those same certifications, him and Freddie went through the two certification together, but a master's of science in cybersecurity. And I think, you know, obviously from the district's perspective, it's tremendous value keeping us safe, our SCADA systems and our internal systems. So having somebody like Ahmed with that kind of training, it's just dangerous to the people that are trying to be dangerous, right? So we really appreciate that. Last but not least, Renee, she got her certification from Aqua JPIA Leadership Essentials for the water program. So she went through that course this year through Aqua JPIA, and again, building leaders and it shows. So so anyways, thank you. Thanks all of you, what you do for the district every day. And thank you for, you know, continue to strive to, go ahead, Julie.
I would like to also commend the leadership that is supporting this, because that's important that you know that you are supported by your supervisors and leaders to pursue these. So thank you to those as well.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we doing the coins?
Huh?
Are we doing the coins?
That was really more for information. We did have some coin award recipients. We already gave them their coins
Okay.
at the all employees meeting. It was for teamwork, helpful people.
All right. Approval of minutes, item number 16, December 5th, 2023, special, regular board meeting and the December 19th special board meeting.
I just had one issue with the December 5th. I was here. And it doesn't say it was.
Oh,
With that, change implemented, are there any other corrections, modifications or additions?
No, I saw.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Director Mack, seconded by Director Johnson for accepting the minutes with the approved modification showing Director Smith's attendance. Board of Directors comments and reports, directors comments and directors concerning district business, which may be of interest to the board. The president has nothing to report at this time. Representative reports from San Diego County Water Authority.
there was actually no meeting in December, as typical for County Water Authority. There was a special meeting on January 11th. They held a board workshop, which I attended, and really there was two main points of discussion. One, they were getting their legislative priorities approved, so they have a policy on their legislative priorities. One significant change, they removed the item related to what they call the regional conveyance system, which is the project that they were looking at coming from across the desert, bringing water directly here through the QSA water. So they took that actually out of their legislative priorities. And then the other discussion really just was centered around the governance of the County Water Authority and kind of the way the voting structure works, the weighted voting structure. So there were some proposals to potentially alter the way items are approved. And so I think that's going to be an ongoing discussion down there. But just, a lot of folks from the smaller districts and anyone other than the city of San Diego, really, that just feels like their voice sometimes isn't heard. That was kind of the main comments that we heard, and really the action behind those proposals. So it's an ongoing. It was a collaborative discussion, I'd say, and it's an ongoing discussion down there. So those were really the only two items of note.
CSDA.
I know we're gonna be having a quarterly meeting, a dinner meeting. I think it's February, isn't it, Therese? Isn't it February?
February 15th. February 15th.
February 15th, you said?
So that is it.
Okay, LAFCO,
There was no meeting in December at LAFCO either. Next meeting's February 5th.
Santa Margarita River Watershed Water Master Steering Committee, same song, second verse, could have been better and definitely wasn't worse. This activity basically moves at this pace of molasses in January in northern Ohio. Not very fast. They still working on settlement agreements and conjunctive use, et cetera. So nothing really to report. Aqua,
Yes, I went to the Aqua Region 10 board meeting yesterday. It was held at the Rancho Santa Fe Irrigation District. It was quite interesting. It's the first time I've gone to one of those. And I was filling in for Mig, because unfortunately he resigned, but I went and it was really good. It was pretty fascinating. I always thought we were one of the smallest ones in this area, water district, and Al, gave a little insight on theirs. And he goes, one of the things they're having issues with, just like imagine all water districts, they were saying they anticipated at one time they were doing 13,000 acre feet a year to sell. Now they're down to 8. And it is a big issue with them of price crunch. And they were saying they have 45 people on staff. It reminded me a lot of our district. One of the things was interesting. One of the questions they were asked him was, because of the lower the sales, how are you dealing with the lost revenue? And he goes, they're going with a different way of thinking is how can we cut cost? And one of the examples he gave, which maybe we can do, maybe we can't, Jake, is what they've done is they've partnershiped with the fire department on buying fuel. And they go with the fuel cost, since they're a safety, they get real reduced rate of fuel costs. And so they've partnered with them to save. That's one way they're saving. And the other thing was they were looking into was doing solar. I think they said they bills about 70,000 a year, and they're looking into solar, how to do that. But it was very interesting. They're very similar, and I thought we were the smallest, but the next meeting they've come to will be they only meet twice a year. The next one is July 11th. I believe it's a Thursday. I think they said it was going to be at 9:30. And one other thing they did was a gentleman brought up that they have all these committees, energy committee, agriculture committee. There's about 12 different committees. And one of the gentlemen said, it really needs to be dispersed. He made note that I think it was Costa Mesa had 5 individuals that were heading some of these. He goes, I really think there should be more participation, especially they said in the San Diego region. A lot of Orange County was doing a lot of overseeing these committees. And so I volunteered on the very first one was agriculture. And I said, well, since Rainbow is one of the biggest agriculture water districts, and I go, my background's in horticulture. And so I volunteered. So when we have those meetings in Division 10, I'll be the backup to the speaker. And so that's what I got promoted to.
careful what you ask for.
Yeah, well, the gentleman did make a good point that, it just seemed it was the same individuals. They were doing all the work, and they just believed there should be more participation throughout Region 10. And so, and that was pretty much it. But it was very good. It was very good information. And again, the next one will be July 11th. I believe it's at 9:30. That's it.
Okay, meetings, workshops, committees, seminars, et cetera, reports by directors on AB 1234. Anything to report or comment on?
I do have a comment. I'm on the board of the Finance Corporation for CSDA. We have a meeting this Thursday, as well as we will be meeting in person in Sacramento on February 8th to discuss many different funding for special districts that is available through this corporation.
Thank you. Any director's comments? Legal counsel comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. I did a written report. I did an update on Senate Bill 69 and CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. This is a new law that took effect in January of this year. And it basically requires additional CEQA filings for water districts. This new law requires that upon project approvals, water districts and other local public agencies must file their notices of exemption or either the notice of exemption with both the county clerk and the governor's office of planning and research, OPR, within 5 days of approving a project. And then in turn, the state OPR and the county clerks must make the notice of determination or the notice of exemption, whichever one is applicable for the particular project, publicly available, and then post the notice of determination or exemption on their internet websites within 24 hours of receipt. And this is of note because the state filing requirements previously only applied to state agencies, but this new law basically requires the filings with the state OPR for local agencies and water districts such as ourselves. And then a failure to make these new filings with the state will cause a water district to lose the benefit of the shortened CEQA statute of limitations. So when the filings are made, there are a 30-day statute of limitations for the notices of determination, and then a 35-day statute of limitations for the notices of exemptions. But then if the filings aren't made, that statute of limitations is extended to 6 months or 180 days. So I just wanted to be sure the district is aware of these new requirements, so we retain that.
Effective
important
January
protection.
1st?
Yes, exactly.
Timely, sir.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Committee reports, Budget and Finance Committee.
President, members of the committee, of the board. Budget and Finance Committee did meet on Tuesday, January the 9th. You have 2 items on your agenda, which are, I believe, information items, which we received the same briefing you're going to get, and I think you'll find them very interesting. One on the mid-year budget and the other one on the zero usage meter issue. In general, I think the committee was quite supportive of the overall positions that the staff had on those items that'll be presented to you as information items a little later today. We also, as a courtesy, received briefings from Ahmed on 2 contracts that are being renewed or being extended by the district. Both of them related, obviously, to the world of IT. One of them is kind of the portal that we have to use to do business with Microsoft for our Microsoft Office and a number of other enterprise applications that go with that. And the second contract was for the maintenance and operation of our printers. And we're very happy with the terms and conditions that were described to us for both of these agreements. So we do have a meeting upcoming in February, and we'll keep you apprised on that. Would you like for me to do engineering now?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's going to be short. Engineering and operations did not meet in January. However, you have an item on your agenda number 21, which is awarding a CM consultancy for the pump station projects. And because of some time constraints, the staff was not able to go through the consultant selection process and bring it to the committee before coming to the board. However, in an attempt to kind of preserve the spirit of what was going on, I did sit in on the entire consultant selection process, read the proposals, put in my vote or whatever, and I will say that from that perspective, as the chairman of the committee, I am in agreement with the selection that is brought to you today. And the staff did, under very difficult circumstances, go through a lot of paper and some discussion about the award that's before you. Okay? Any questions?
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Communication and Customer Service Committee.
Yeah, the committee met on January 4th. Several items were discussed. The general manager gave an update to the committee on our long-range plans and our plans to update the strategic plan, master plan, and headquarters plan development, as well as updating our rate model to include our new wholesale rates when those take effect, taking into consideration our competing priorities on rebuilding our reserve targets, capital project needs, and maintaining sustainable rates for our ratepayers. We also gave an update on the Flume program. The total utilization so far is about 49% of the flumes that have been sold are actually installed, and only 26% are fully connected and working. So we've been working with them to do some outreach efforts for those that haven't fully installed it and aren't taking advantage of that after they've purchased it, to find out why. They're offering battery replacement tips, upgraded, devices to Flume 2. We've also added some resources onto our website for, how-to videos for the installation and other resources like that, so we can get that utilization closer to 100% of those that have been purchased. We also updated, our plans to refresh our customer service survey for the year. There were some questions related to detachment awareness and things on that are relevant. So we're going to be presenting kind of a proposed new updated survey at the next meeting, so that they can give us feedback and we can have the same survey data points year over year to compare how it changes over time. We also went over our plans to implement and develop a strategic communications plan. And we are planning a workshop, a joint communications committee and staff workshop for February 15th. And we would like to open that up if one additional board member would like to participate in that joint workshop. We want to avoid a quorum, obviously, but we are planning that joint. We've got about 15 staff members from a cross section of departments in the district to provide input on that process. So it'll be kind of a discovery workshop so that we can hone in on those areas that we want to focus on in terms of key audiences, messaging, etc.
Is that all day?
No, it would be in the morning, probably from around 9 to 12 is what we're thinking. So you can reach out to me after this meeting if you'd like to be that additional board member in addition to Hayden's, who's already on the communications committee. And we also gave updates on the community events. Our 70th anniversary branding rollout is in progress. We're doing a soft rollout, digital assets, and things that were up for replenishment anyway, like business cards and things like that. And we also got a $3,000 grant from Metropolitan to help fund the Bonsall High School STEM field trips in the spring. So we've been in contact with them, and we talked about our newsletter content. That's it.
Thank you very much, Carleen.
Thank you.
Board action items. Discussion and possible selection of Division 3 Director and adoption of Resolution 24-03, a resolution appointing a Director of Division 3 of the Rainbow Municipal Water District.
Did we lose anybody?
Buddy?
Everybody stayed, huh? Okay. I'll just go through real quick. And I know everybody got an email on kind of what the process is going to look like. I know, all the board members haven't quite heard. We're going to have, and I believe Teresa is going to do this. We'll have everybody kind of step out, draw numbers, and have everybody come in kind of once at a time. You'll have 5 minutes to kind of address. I think we sent out some questions. Hey, try to address these things in 5 minutes, but really give you 5 minutes to kind of make the pitch as far as an appointment to the board. And once we kind of get through everyone, which will take a little bit of time, the board may ask some follow-up questions too, but once we get through that, we'll bring everybody back in and allow the board to deliberate on You know, if somebody wants to make a motion to appoint someone, there needs to be a motion and a second and a majority vote. Or, you know, and just let the board know, we do have a 60-day window. So we've got, you know, the resignation was given on December 31st. So we have until February 29th is the date. So we do have another regular scheduled board meeting before then. So it's really up to the board. You know, just you can make an appointment today, or there is additional time after that 60-day post. Then the county board of supervisors can basically pick somebody for us. So, so that's really the window. But that's kind of the process we were going to go through. So I don't know if Therese, if you want to kind of help everybody out. We wanted to give at least the person that's speaking kind of the opportunity to speak without everybody listening and that kind of thing, if you're so willing.
You can stand up now. 'Cause I am too. Oh, you know me? No.
Yeah. We said that. Yeah.
What? Did you want to go to that?
That's good.
Training?
We could mention that again.
Training
too.
15.
I mean, because it.
It's
Workshop.
not training. It's a strategic planning session.
August, that's when you have to refile again. So
Yeah.
give them much time to.
What? February 15th? 15th. Did I not write that down? Oh, no, because you
didn't expect her to personally attack me.
You're gonna do it.
It's so nice.
Let me check my calendar.
It's a Wednesday, I think.
I just wrote down where I want to go to the next spot, but that's not until July.
Yeah. And those don't need approval. It's just,
Yeah.
What's that?
What do you need?
Yeah.
No.
yeah,
I
you
it's
did.
a
just wrote
Thursday.
down July 11th. Did he say time delivery?
Yeah,
It was on Monday.
yeah.
Oh,
come on. Why does he keep?
okay. Are you ready?
Look,
Yay.
number one.
When I did this, I was the very last one. So congratulations.
Last is better, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
We've got a timer there too. It's not,
Mhm.
we don't want to rush you, but just so
Okay.
you know,
Right.
if you want to get to some key points and.
Sure,
Yeah.
it's challenging, but we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Well,
Only
first of
seven?
all, is everyone
Others
ready?
dropped out? Okay,
Almost.
Just give me the thumbs up.
right. Obviously 5 minutes. If there are any questions, please state, who you are, since all we know is you're number one right now.
You could just refer to me as number one. I actually like that. Well, first of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity to address the board. My name is Greg Irvine. I live at 2552 Dos Lomas in Fallbrook. I've been a resident of this amazing community since March 2018. I moved my wife of 40 years down here after retiring from the city of Corona as assistant city manager, where I lived for 25 years. And I used to drive back and forth from Corona to San Diego periodically, and every time I came down through the San Luis Rey Valley, I used to look to the east and the west, and I was just mesmerized at how beautiful this community is. And I thought, well, someday when I retire, this is where I want to live. And we made that happen in 2018. Going to be tough to go through 35 years of education experience and I think now 4 minutes, but I'll do my best. I hold a bachelor's degree in finance and with a minor in economics from Montclair State University. I have a master's degree in business from Pepperdine University. Among my professional certifications, I have an international business certification from the University of Copenhagen, general governmental finance and accounting certificate from University of California, Riverside. I am a certified municipal treasurer with the California Municipal Treasurers Association. I'm also a certified municipal finance administrator from the Municipal Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at my resume, but you would see it. The highlight is that most of my service has been in public service. I began my career as a commissioned officer in the United States Marine Corps as a second lieutenant, rose to the ranks of lieutenant colonel when I retired in 2004 after 22 years of service. Initially, I served in the area of aviation logistics, which included overseas deployment. I was a staff officer to the commanding general during Operation Desert Storm. Among my responsibilities was the review and approval of $1 billion plus aviation budget. I was also responsible for the operational readiness of over 400 tactical rotary and fixed wing aircraft. The remainder of my career, I went back to school. I became an intelligence officer by attending the Naval Marine Corps Intelligence Training Center and served as a group intelligence officer for the balance of my career and held a top secret SCI clearance until I retired in 2004. More recently was my experience in public service with the city of Corona, where I began as a treasury management and investment analyst and rose to the ranks of assistant city manager in less than 8 years. Part of my involvement with the city was heavily focused on working with the municipal utility. I had lots of different experience working with the municipal utility, namely customer service, field service, finance, billing, training, personnel, procurement, safety, and risk management. Obviously, managing a public utility, or in this case, a municipal utility, is a very complex business. It's a very dynamic business. I think it takes keen understanding of the issues that face a utility in order to make sound decisions. I think that's important for a board member, and I think I have those qualities. Additionally, I enjoy the process of collaborating with colleagues and appointed staff. I've worked with department heads and over 200 appointed employees in a very gratifying way. And I think it's important to have that understanding to try to balance those interests between the ratepayers and the operational health of the utility. I could go into more detail, but I'll leave that with regard to my experience. And if you have questions at the end, feel free to ask. The reason why I want to serve as a board member, to be honest, is I want to make good use of my time in retirement. I've been afforded a lot of time. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge. And I really think I could make a great addition to this board based on that experience. And again, I do like working with elected officials and colleagues and staff and collaborating and really coming up with sound decisions. And I think that my experience will help with that. Probably unique among the other applicants because I did run for this seat in the last election. With that, I had the opportunity to engage residents as part of the campaign process and get a lot of feedback, hear their concerns, hear their interests. And I think that puts me in a unique position because I did get lots of different input, mostly along the lines of, safe, reliable water, top-notch customer service. There are issues that are of concern to members of Division 3, and they want the board members to keep those concerns at the forefront of their decision making. Thought that might be me. You know, with regard to detachment, I should just address that issue briefly. I will admit that, you know, I was a skeptic. I did have a lot of questions regarding, you know, severability, commodity price fluctuations, and reliability issues. And I think it's important to kind of challenge those issues as part of the deliberative process. I was not afforded the opportunity to get all the briefings from staff and consultants and lawyers to really understand all of those issues. That may have assuaged some of my skepticism. But I think the important issue is that the voters voted, and that's the most important thing, because that is the democratic process. And obviously, their voices have to be heard, and overwhelmingly, they want to move forward with that process. And I think we need to respect that. I believe that my experience in public service and working and managing within a municipal water, sewer, and power utility makes me uniquely qualified for this appointment. I mean, I've proven and I've demonstrated my interest by representing the constituents of Division 3. I've invested time and resources seeking to represent that division. And I think that sign of interest should weigh heavily into the board's decision in their selection process in this appointment. So with that, I'll conclude and thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Number 2, at least we're down to 7. Not a, yeah, only 7.
That baby scared them all away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Wiley, staff. My name is Lisa Herman, and I'm here to talk to you about being Director of Division 3. I realize that all the candidates were asked to respond to a series of questions, and I'm only going to answer the last one, which is why I'm uniquely qualified for this position. And I think you'll find the rest of my information is woven into that. I believe I'm uniquely qualified for this position because I've been associated with the water industry for over 30 years. First as an attorney and then on the board of directors for Rancho California Water District. I'm retired from both endeavors, but I feel like I have a very solid basis for knowing how a water district runs, and everything from finance to administration to operations I was involved with, and I think I can hit the ground running to help on those issues. I know about the various legal responsibilities of being on a board, and I'm ready to get involved. Because of my background, I'm familiar with LAVCO, familiar with San Diego Water Authority. I have great relationships with Eastern Municipal Water District, Western Municipal Water District, Rancho California Water District. And I think one of the big issues that I feel strongly about is that the detachment needs to be concluded efficiently and professionally, and then relationships built with those neighboring agencies to the north. And I think I can help with that. I've lived in Fallbrook only 3.5 years, but I moved to Temecula in 1985 when it was more or less non-existent. I actually came to Fallbrook from services like doctors, and one of my children was born in Fallbrook. I feel like I've known Fallbrook even though I haven't lived here. I've known lots of people here, from artists to farmers. And I feel like I have a sense of the needs and wants of the community. And one of the things I remember from way back when watching Rainbow was that it was a really dysfunctional little blip on the radar for the water world. And I have to say, I think that this board has changed that. I think that Rainbow has shown the water world that it is forward thinking, that it is brave, it's willing to fight for the needs of its customers. And I think that creates opportunities that need to be maximized. And I think that I'm willing to work for that. To me, being on a board for a water agency is pretty complex. I have neighbors who say, oh, just get in there and tell them you want the rates lower. Well, we all know it's not that simple. And it's a lot of balancing. And I think I'm the type of person that is willing to, someone said a long time ago in one of your meetings, you can't kick the can down the road anymore. I can take the hard position if I need to, but it's a balancing act, needs of the community, needs of the organization. So I hope you will think of me favorably for this appointment because I think I can work on those things. You have any questions of me? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goes from hot to real cold.
Cold now.
It's
Did you-
like-
Yeah, all the warm bodies left.
I have my coat out in the car if I need it.
Did you bring me a blanket?
Yeah, really.
Jake, did you work with her? Okay.
So she was elected multiple times. Wow.
Do we need to call Mr. O'Leary?
I think she's doing it, yeah.
Okay. Pardon?
He went to go get him.
Crack the whip.
So Wilkinson is a no-show. Sand
Shernick, Turner, said mine and I attend. Galindo, Solomon.
But
and
he's
Trump.
not on your list, so I don't think he showed.
Hmm?
It's not on that list, so I think he didn't show. The Wilkinson.
Oh, yeah, apparently not. Maybe he had indicated he couldn't attend.
Same shoot. Oh, that's an endorsement. Got it. Okay.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tim O'Leary. Thank you for your time, attention, and consideration. Please forgive me if I repeat many of the points I made in the cover letter that I sent or the bio that I previously submitted. I'm speaking now in hopes that you select me for this board vacancy. Being in this room gives me vivid recollections of my years serving our treasured customers in that seat right over there. Thus, it is my hope today that I can convince you that I'm experienced, capable, knowledgeable, and respectful. I am a listener, a communicator, a writer, and a traveler. I would bring a wealth of institutional knowledge to this board. I know water, marketing, business, and agriculture, as I've written about those topics and countless others in depth over my 44 years as a writer, professional writer, editor, and columnist. I lived in Menifee before moving to Fallbrook 24 years ago. I own an acre and a half, treasure my little hobby farm. Unfortunately, I had to let my fruit trees die about 7 years ago when my rainbow bills hit $700 a month. Now I keep 6 chickens and 2 pygmy goats. I've served on the boards of the Fallbrook Historical Society and the Fallbrook Senior Center. Also served 2 stints on Rainbow's Communications Committee, much of that time as its chairman. During my tenure, it seems so long ago, I helped launch the district's first website and upgrade the monthly newsletter. So I guess if you pick me, you'll be kind of pulling from the farm team. My writing adventures have unfolded as a result of my bachelor's degree in journalism. Took me on 2 trips on the Municipal Water District's so-called Rolling College of Community Knowledge, which provided ratepayer-funded trips for regional VIPs who desired to trace our water's journeys from the Colorado River to stream lakes in Riverside County. The first story detailed the complexities of this vast conveyance system. The second story told how MWD hardened this crucial lifeline in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. I have written extensively about the Eastern Municipal Water District, our new wholesaler. I've toured the Lake Skinner treatment plant and numerous dams, reservoirs, water facilities. I've studied and written about the operations of Rainbow, FPUD, Rancho California, and Eastern. I know the Brown Act. I know the Form 700s. I know about serial meetings. Basically, I could hit the ground running. And I would treasure the opportunity to again serve our customers. And I know that I would be an asset to your board and our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions.
It's up a little bit. I didn't know if I'd get cut off at 5 minutes, so.
No, we're flexible, Carrie. You have the floor.
Okay. I'll start my timer then. Good afternoon, President Hamilton and members of the board. My name is Carrie Dale, and I'm very excited to be here today to discuss my qualifications. And before I get going on discussing those, I just wanted to thank you for listening to me and considering me for this position. A little bit about my background. I bring 3 decades of relevant water and wastewater experience in the Southern California region, 25 years of which I've either been a boots on the ground technical person or I've managed different divisions very similar to those divisions that are here at Rainbow. So the distribution system, water quality, managing reservoirs, water deliveries, meters, customer service, the billing, and on the back end, when people are done using that water, when they put it in the toilets and down the showers, managing those collection systems that then convey that wastewater through the lift stations over to a treatment facility. And yeah, so I'm very familiar with all of that. I've been here paying rates to Rainbow since 2001, approximately. So quite a long time. My education includes a bachelor's degree in biology, and I also have a master's in public administration with an emphasis on water resources management. And a public administration degree really has prepared me to understand public policy and public finance, leadership and management of public agencies. And I think that all of these are very important for board members. I'm very much plugged into the local as well as the statewide water and wastewater network. I'm familiar with a lot of the board members in the Southern California region. So I feel like I've got a little bit of a leg up in terms of already being plugged in and knowing about this industry. My resume is fairly extensive. It's in your board packet. I thought I'd just talk a little bit about one area in particular that I think would be helpful in sitting on the board, and that is regarding the finances. I had the opportunity over the latter part of my career, 15 years approximately, working on a lot of the financial matters to manage a water district, which included setting and developing rates, developing fees, developing buy-in fees for development, developing and managing the operations as well as the capital budget, and debt issuance. I've done a couple of those. I think the financial issues out of all of the things that I've done over my career have been some of the most difficult and challenging issues that have faced me. It makes you want to knock your head against the wall, but it's very rewarding. I love doing it. I think it's really important as it does impact ratepayers and rates and the management of the district. I ran for the board in 2005 unsuccessfully after there was a recall effort here. At the time, we had over 200 avocado trees on our property. So I have the perspective of a grower, an agricultural user. Those trees are now gone. So I'm now more of a single family residential type of a customer. So I have that perspective too. So it's not all bad. I think there was a silver lining to not winning that election at that time. It gave me time and space really to raise our son here in Fallbrook. And I took a very demanding job in Oceanside as the water utilities director. And I really had to spend time putting my head down and devoting to that position. So it allowed me to do that. So now I think the time is right. I've been bugged by Tom Kennedy for a number of years to participate on committees. So yeah, this is just a great opportunity. Some of the current issues that are front of mind to me are rates and cost of water, especially in today's economy. The detachment's also a big issue. I think overwhelmingly with the number of voters that supported that measure, there is an expectation of lower costs with the rates. And that's why I feel like the financial background is very important. I also feel strongly that there's adequate investment in the capital improvement program. And it really runs counter to really keeping those rates low. I think Rainbow's not alone in being a district that maybe over the years hasn't consistently invested in capital expenditures. And I can tell you that it's a very hard road to claw back from. It's very hard to get in front of that. But I think we've seen a lot of positive changes with this board and commitment to moving forward with that. So that's very important. And I think in the long run, overall, when people are investing in infrastructure, it does have a savings on the back end. It is the least expensive option. And finally, I'll just finish up. I know I'm at my time here. I feel like I'm uniquely qualified because I've dedicated my career really to managing water and wastewater. And many of the many of the agencies that I've worked for have performed in an outstanding manner and have been award winning. I want to bring that same enthusiasm to the district along with my knowledge base and to work cooperatively with all of you to ensure the district is successful.
Any questions?
I have one. Dick Harry, I believe that you're working for a consulting firm.
Yes.
I apologize, I don't know what exactly you do. Whatever you do, would that conflict with anything that we do as a board member?
Well, I would defer to the legal counsel on that. I know that there are rules and laws that I would need to follow in terms of recusing myself and not participating in some of those award of contracts for the consulting firm that I work for.
Something Dick and I have actually talked about. Yeah, she can serve on board sometimes it's not a conflict. Existing contract that she has a fine. Selected before she was on the board, the issue would come if there are future contracts. It's not an issue if the contract is within the general manager's authority, but if it's something that will need to come to the board, then there will need to be an analysis. There's several exceptions that could apply, such as, there's one that's specifically for engineering and like planning and design service where she would apply. And in fact, was specific, you would look at to whether, she serves in an primary management capacity. There's others that apply since San Diego County has less than 4 million people. There's another exception that applies. There's another exception that applies. Basically just depending on, again, whether she serves in a primary management capacity and how long she's been at her employer and how many employees they have. So that would all need to be looked at if there's a future contract, but now the existing contract is fine and there's no existing conflict.
Okay, great.
And she would only need to recuse herself in instances where those issues applied.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
No, she's.
we can do that as a reference. Those-
Yeah.
Didn't notice.
If we can take a vote.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, okay, Jake, definitely with its own like flag issue. As we take that before.
Bottom.
You got it.
The one, yeah.
Good afternoon.
Oh my gosh. We got Mr. Personnel.
Put some vitality going.
Yeah. We need that. 220.
Get my little notes out here, if I could, for a second, please.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Is a no-show.
Very good. Long day. You had that meeting now and you got all these interviews and. Yeah. And we'll see what happens. I'd like to say, as I said in my letter of invitation, I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you all. Especially to meet you, Jake and Michael and Julie and Hayden and Patty, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, anyway, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm an old dude, so I go way back in rock.
Join the crowd.
Okay. God bless your day. Who's coming first? Am I supposed to speak more?
You have the floor.
Okay, well, let me just say that, first thing I want to say is I appreciate actually, I was going to run for, Area 3, Service Area 3, because I talked to Tom Kennedy about it during the last election cycle. And, I take care of my mother. She's 96, lives in Escondido. And I was consulting at the time, and I said, you know, if I'm gonna do something, it comes from the heart. I have to make a commitment to do that. You know what I mean? And I wasn't sure that I could make the commitment to. But now, between now and November, she'll take care of my mother. God bless her. She's 96. And you have my heart. If you select me, I'll be here for you. And I will make a difference. Okay. That's my introduction.
Can you tell us your name?
That's
I'm sorry. No, I don't. Sure, I can do that. My name is J. Mark Price.
Nice. Number 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Did
Mark,
did you folks get a chance to read my letter?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
but we'd like to hear from you specifically, and we gave a list of questions, specifically what makes you believe that you're uniquely qualified for this position?
Well, I did work for a utility for 35 years. I was on the company's speakers bureau that you probably noted. And I have they took us around the whole area, and I knew a little about water because we got to see the Metropolitan Water District and what they did. And we understood what they did. So do I have experience in a water utility or district? No, I don't. But I have experience in boardrooms. I have many boardrooms. I did presentations and did all the board presentations for my executive vice president. And I will say, this has a little more going to it than, in our boardroom, like people look around and when the CEO said, oh yeah, I like that. Everybody go, oh yeah, I like that too. I mean, it was so silly. And I don't see that here. And I think this is more granular than we had before because people seem to have a connection and more of a family atmosphere than I have in a large utility. And what makes me uniquely qualified is I think I have a broad range of experience, and I think I can offer things that performance improvement, my degree in economics, a lot of things I was trained in over the years, Joseph Duran and what he did. And I became a manager, and I learned to help people through leadership be what they could be. And that's what's important in any job you have, is helping people be what they can be. And I hope that I saw what you did today and appreciating those people. I love that. That was beautiful. And that's what you got to do, man. People, probably go home tonight and say, wow, look what they did for me today. Look what they did. They understood me. They were responsive to that. So I understand all that. Okay. 35 years working for a utility. I learned a lot, and I think I could bring stuff to the table that will help you guys, and maybe a different experience than many of you have, but I believe I can fit in. I'm the kind of person that I can listen, and I want people to listen to me. And through a collaborative effort, we can help. And you guys have a lot of challenges. And I mentioned in my letter, you have challenges you don't even know today what's going to come, legislative and political. And you have to work your way through that. Some of the stuff you can't control, you always have to be on the kind of the rebound of that. Okay. Now what are we going to do? Okay. You're not a big place that can influence all that, but you can find a way to work your way through it. And I applaud the fact that you took the time to change where you're going to get your water from to save money for your customers. And you took the initiative to do that. And I think that's wonderful. And I hope, excuse me for you're the lawyer in the crowd, but I hope that that doesn't cost the district a lot of money. I hope you can work through that in a way that that comes quickly, and that you can make that happen quicker than later. I'm sorry, that was a long
trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it trying or it's very trying?
Both.
Both, yeah, that's what I thought.
Any questions for Mark? Thank you very much.
That's it? No more questions?
That's it.
All right. Well, God bless you all. And again, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Right.
Dos más. Two more. Two more?
Oh, he was talking about your recognition of employees. I don't think the Flanagans went home.
Oh, you have no idea. It's, yes.
Yes, please. Introduce yourself and you have the floor.
Okay,
But I don't answer.
my name is Paulson Cartier.
I just have all the
I've been living in Fallbrook for 3 years, come February 21st. My wife and I moved 3 years ago to Champaign Crest. We were living in Forest Ranch, suburbia. We raised 4 daughters, sent them to school, undergrad, graduate school, and then we were empty nesters for 5 years. We wanted to get out of burbs and found this wonderful community. So that's how we ended up here, and we really enjoyed the community. I received, like many people, the flyer in the mail that said, hey, there's a vacancy in District 3, and I'm pretty active in our HOA in Champaign Crest, and I love the community. And I just thought, hey, this might be an opportunity for me to get involved and do some give back to the community. So my background is IT. Obviously, we moved from Canada in 1996. So IBM moved my wife, myself, and our 4 kids from Canada to here. And most of my career, my commute was I was on a plane every week. So my wife really raised her kids and did a great job. They're both they're all, we've got a lawyer, we've got a doctor, we've got a master's bio engineering, and a NICU nutritionist up at Chalk. So very proud of our daughters, and none of them have moved back home, which is great. So that was my biggest fear, speaking to one of the neighbors there. So anyhow, my background, as I mentioned, was in IT. Basically, what I was in charge of was putting solutions together for outsourcing deals, which would involve obviously all the towers, networks, people, and I managed a team and very much involved in cost targets and pricing and financial analysis and so on, and responding to RFPs and working with partners and consultants and so on. So that's my background. Then I'll open it up to you folks for questions.
What do you think are the most significant challenges the district faces over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, water is the new gold, right? I always say where I came from, Canada. I mean, it's one of the largest untapped resources that we have back home, and now it's become so valuable. So I was very encouraged to hear about the vote that we got a chance to participate in about snapping out of the San Diego Municipal District. I know that's going to take a while, but I thought, okay, well, somebody's looking ahead and trying to do things, and so obviously the challenge going forward is managing, right, that district and the unit in terms of not just costs, but helping people conserve. And I think there was a discussion about some cost saving programs and things of that nature. a large part of what I did as part of the teams was we obviously were very cost conscious and we looked at everything and everything was down to unit rates. So, you know, it was a very competitive environment. So, you know, I thought obviously very important, as I said, in terms of resource and opportunity to help navigate the district, if you will, in the right direction and keep things on a fiscally responsible keel for us going forward.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much.
That's it. Wow, that was quick. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I need a paper shredder. I got double of every. I'm just gonna give
Yeah, I know.
it a piece. I'm hoping she can shred some of this stuff or just. I need, I'm just, I got double. Okay, well, I'm not done yet. I got double of the stuff.
Renee, when is your due date?
Did you know I was a labor and
Do you know
delivery
what
nurse
time?
for 20 years? So you're in good hands.
You're going to say, do you know the time as well?
Yeah.
You have the podium, sir.
Not afraid.
How are you?
Tell us who you are other than number 7 and the last one too.
My name is Richard Olson. I live at 3514 Lake Tree Drive, across from the new winery, and have been there for 47 years, same house. I'm hosting for the second time around. My son, who was a firefighter for City of San Diego, got married and had no place to stay, so they moved in with my wife and I. That was years ago. Raised those kids. Then my daughter, who is a emergency room trauma nurse at Palomar, and my son-in-law, who is a captain with Oceanside Fire. They lived in Temecula and they wanted to get away from the traffic, so they moved in. It was going to be a 3-month stay. We're going on 3 years now, but it's well worth it. I've got 2 lovely grandkids that I'm raising. I don't get the opportunity to be a grandfather because with their work schedule, my daughter goes to work at 4 in the morning and gets off at 7 at night. And well, Palomar is short on people and they're keeping people over. So she's just, and she's an outstanding nurse. Anyway, enough of that. My background, I think you got to see the resumes in this. I had the pleasure of being the president of the North County Fire Protection District when we hired Bill Metcalf. I went up to Reno, interviewed Bill, and that made a complete change in North County Fire. I mean, it was some place that people just wanted to go through to step to the next place they could go. And now we got people transferring in from larger fire departments. It is a good fire department. I was for 28 years continuously. I was on the board of directors or the president of the board of Bonsall School District. 8 years I was on the board or president of North County Fire Protection Board. I learned an awful lot about being a board member. And one of the things that I learned was you let the professionals do what they're supposed to do. You don't butt into it thinking you should be doing so. You hire the right people. If you hire the right people, things go right. And again, I've been in the same district for 40 47 years now. And I'm retired. I'm retired captain from LA County Sheriff's Department. And I have corporate background. I have legal background. But again, a board member, there's a lot to learn. I mean, when you get into the Brown Act and these things, you understand that you can get in trouble real fast. And so I have gone through that on a number of boards. And I think that this is a temporary, this is a short-term thing, but it's a very important time. And it's a time when I think you need somebody that can put the time into it, which I can. Again, I am retired. I live 2.5 miles from here, and I'm a team player. I have a board is a team. You can have one bad board member that can ruin the entire thing. I mean, it just it goes with the territory, I guess. So when I got the notification in the mail, my wife said, "You're done with politics," and I mean, I've lived through at Bonsall, which is a very conservative school. We had fought some real battles between the teachers union and whoever else wanted to do things that shouldn't be done. And I don't know if any of you remember Dr. Tucker, Sylvia. Well, Sylvia and I usually were the two underdogs on the board. We fought very hard to not have the high school put off of Gerd Road, and we won. And luckily for us, that's when money started going crazy. It would have bankrupted the district if we had have gone ahead and done this, and there weren't enough people to fill it up anyway. So you work as a team. You have to work as a team, and everybody's got their own thoughts on something. And if you can sit down and say, "Hey, this is what I think," and without just doing this and stepping on somebody, you can usually come to a consensus. It may not be exactly what you wanted, but the important thing is you're serving the district, number one. Number two, you're serving your constituents. And again, I feel that in District 3, being elected for 28 years straight out of District 3 to the Bonsall School Board, I must have been doing something right. And I appreciate you allowing me to give my little talk. Do you have any questions, anybody?
One of the questions I'm interested in is, what do you think is among our most significant challenges over the next couple of years?
I think one real challenge as a consumer, I think that the public should know more what we're doing and why we're doing it. They may not like it, but here's the option. We can do this, or we can do this. You can't just do nothing. And I think the communication with the community is extremely important. And I would hope that the board would feel that way. Again, this is short term. I realize this is but I think that you need somebody in there that's not just filling a chair. You need somebody that is willing to work as a team member, and you don't always have to agree, but you can come to consensus on almost everything. You give here, you give here, and you take here and you take there. But as a substitute director, if you want to call it that, I don't think you want a chair warmer. I think you want somebody that can hit the street running. I've been on enough boards. I've been the president of enough boards. I know the dangers of being a board member. I know it's not nice to have people come by and throw things at your house, things like this. And I've had that happen. So I would look forward to this. I would love to, and I have the time to do it when I'm not chauffeuring my grandkids or whatever I have to do there. But I have a lot of time, and I love to work committees. Committees, you can get more done in a committee and come out with something that's positive, as long as you're willing to listen. Number one, listen and not be argumentative, but just come to a consensus. Okay, any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate you volunteering for consideration.
Break.
Yes, I would recommend like a 10-minute biological break or whatever,
Biological?
or
Can we-
whatever.
can we just
or
walk?
whatever. Like round two?
No.
Doing second year.
And then we just
I
had-
haven't doing second year.
Yeah. Each one of them. Back in session. First of all, I want to thank all the candidates for coming in and taking the time and energy and interest in serving in this position. We've been discussing our procedural issues here on how we go forward. The consensus among the board is what we're going to do is each board member will select their top two candidates. The top two candidates receiving the majority of those votes will be asked to come back in February for a second round of interviews. Okay. It's all of you are great. And I really appreciate your interest. The other thing I'd like to say is for those candidates that are not selected to move forward, we do have 3 standing committees, which we constantly are looking for resources in our ratepayers to provide input and guidance. The committees are advisory to this board, and they play a very, very important role in influencing how the board moves forward. So with that, what I'll probably do is ask T to do a roll call of each board member and ask them to nominate the 2 most outstanding candidates that they would like to recommend. I would like to nominate Lisa Herman and Carrie Dale.
Director Johnson? I would like to nominate Lisa Herman and Carrie Dale. Director Matt?
I would like to nominate Carrie Dell and Lisa Harmon.
Director Townsend Smith?
Oh, excuse me. Greg Irvine, I think who spoke first, and then Lisa Herman.
If I have the tallies correct, it looks like Lisa and Carrie will be the 2 candidates moving forward. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for your interest and participation.
Me. I did this several months ago. And I want everyone to know that all of you are phenomenal. And there are so many needs here serving on our committees. We have 3 committees, and you would bring a wealth of information and experience. And I encourage you to do that. We have communications and customer service, engineering and operations, and budget and finance. And what was difficult in selecting the top 2 is because many of you have phenomenal qualifications and experience to share with our community and our volunteers. So thank you.
I'd also like to say one thing. Roughly, I guess it was about 8 years ago, I was in your same shoes.
Mhm.
And, or no, actually it would be because the guy had the full term. So I guess it was probably 10, 11 years ago. And there was an opening and the gentleman was moving. And I applied just like you guys did. And I gave my 5-minute speech and I wasn't selected. There was 3 or 4 candidates. And I was determined, I'm not going to roll over and die on this. And so when the term finally came back up, I ran against the board president and I beat him. So if you don't get selected, please, have that fire if you have that fire.
Mhm.
And again, I believe it's August 15th or something like that. You have to have your paperwork in to run. So do it. I mean, I did it and I got elected. So don't get dejected because right around the corner, believe it or not, that the seat's open again. So and I thank all of you. I thank all of you for having the courage to hear a little bit about your background and get to know you. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, discussion and possible appointment of Board of Officers and Representatives. I'd like to defer this to the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Thank
Oh, thank you.
My rationale, Jake, is I'd like to have a full board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
This was originally put on the agenda in anticipation that we'd make a selection today. And since we've deferred that, I'd prefer to.
Fair enough. I think that's fine. The only thing I was going to say was we have there's 2 things in our admin code staff wise, right? And we had a turnover in our CFO and then also our board secretary. And so usually when we do those appointments, we appoint those as well. So
those I'm
appointing our treasurer. So yeah, if we can move forward with those, the board appointments certainly could wait till February.
Okay. I don't have details. So what I'd like to do based on Jake's input is to move that we accept the board secretary and treasurer positions to be fulfilled by Richard Aragon and Teresa Quintanara.
We call her T.
Yeah,
It's
so much easier.
It's a lot easier. Sorry. So is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Director Hamilton, seconded by Director Johnson, that the Richard Aragon be appointed board treasurer and the board secretary be appointed as Teresa Quintanara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
And we'll look at the board vice president and any other officers and positions. Also relative to the standing committees, I'd like to defer those as well so that the new board member would have an opportunity to voice an opinion or interest.
For engineering operations.
Yeah. Committee participation. Item number 21, consider award of a professional services agreement with Valley Construction Management for construction management services on the West Lilac, Rancho Amigos, and Dentro de Lamos Pump Stations Project Division 1.
You heard a little bit about this from Flint, but we're going to have, Chad will take us through. This is a proposal for construction management for the pump station project.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. Normally, we don't have a PowerPoint with an action item, but today we thought it would be good because this is a long one in the making. And the item before you is not for the general contract that was already done at your December board meeting. This is for the construction manager, but we just want to walk the full board through the project with a brief PowerPoint here. So the project consists of the 3 different pump stations, West Lilac, Rancho Amigos, and Dentro de Lomas. Those were all named differently previously, but these are now the streets that they are off of or adjacent to so that it's more easily recognizable. The pins are small, but you see one Dentro de Lomas in your bottom right corner, and then you have one in the very upper middle where it says stop share, that's Rancho Amigos, and then to the far left upper corner, that is the West Lilac pump station. Thank you. Whoever's moving the cursor, is that Ahmed? Thank you, Ahmed. Appreciate it. If I use the red thing, it doesn't show on the screen. So those are the 3 locations. This is an example of what the building or structure will look like. This is our Rainbow Heights pump station. This recently came online just a couple of years ago. Many of the committee members and board members went out and toured this facility.
Replace the big old diesel engines.
I think they were like natural gas engines. Am I right? They were natural gas engines. We tried getting those to a museum, but no one wanted them. It'll look very similar. We picked similar color schemes for them. And as we go out there, we can redo doors and stuff like that, but it's going to look very similar. The AC units, the Rancho Amigos one will be twice as long as this because that one is being equipped with an 24/7 emergency generator with it, which is housed in its own building. I believe either Renee or Rick or both are going to be giving you some updates on the mid-year budget, but we just want to give some snapshots here. So here we are in year 1, FY 23-24, with an approved budget of $6 million. So everything's okay there. And then here's what you're going to see when we go into the preliminary mid-year budget updates. Again, this is all taken from the Budget and Finance Committee. So if we can plagiarize their work, we do. So this is it. So you can see some, again, that approved budget, proposed year 1 where we're at, and then some possible mid-year updates coming forward here for the future fiscal years and this. We received 7 firms when we issued this public request for proposals. So 7 different proposals came in. We put them in order of their ranking. And as Chairperson Nelson had mentioned, the E&O committee was invited to participate in this process. Flint did so. We brought in lunch that day. It was all hands on deck. So this is the order of the ranking based on the scores. And then you can see each firm's dollar amount. Hope Consulting has an asterisk by it because during our review process, one of the people on our review committee said, since they're the engineer of record on this project, is there a conflict of interest? We actually posed that question to our legal counsel who came back. Whoever asked that question, great, it actually is a conflict of interest. Hope Consulting actually ranked very high in the ranking process, but when we got legal's recommendation back that they be excluded from the process, that's why we have an asterisk there. But here's the firms that we got. And then,
Question?
yes.
There's an awful large spread in the consulting fees.
Yes.
Is that normal? Normally is this something that raises a red flag that we should be concerned about? That it's being underbid and we're going to see change order requests or whatever?
That's a great question. Same question I asked.
The exact same
I was
question.
not part of the review, but I got a briefing post review, and that was actually the first question I asked. A lot of the firms actually just look like it. They saw the project a little bit differently. There might have been, there definitely was. Valley probably had a leg up just because they had done one of these pump stations before, so they know kind of how the process works. These are more package, kind of off the back of a truck, put them in place. And so it really does reduce the You know, we've already gone through the shop drawing process with the pumps, and a lot of the facilities is really kind of already set. And so I know all that was described in the RFP, exactly kind of how these work. But if you haven't done one before, it can be, you can get thrown off a little bit. And so you see, you know, Arcadis, which, you know, they're a great firm. They do a great job in construction management, but they did have a little different look too on, you know, we're offering our inspector. Our inspectors got the time and capability to do this. So we were offering that as a resource, you know, that we would use our own staff. They decided to, you know, some of the firms decided that they wanted some of their own resources there too. Obviously that pushes the price up. Doesn't mean their proposal is necessarily bad, but it definitely pushes the price up. But it was a unanimous decision, both on just the quality of the proposal, and then obviously the fee kind of fits the bill on what we were asking for in the proposal. So there is a large disparity, but it really was kind of a different view on the project, not so much a misunderstanding by the low bidder or the low fee. Yeah.
So, and one of the things we're not seeing is you have an actual ranking process that you look at various aspects of the project. And
We do.
Who did the, I don't know the technical name, the one in Rainbow?
The Rainbow Heights.
Yeah.
The contractor was Orion Construction. I was originally going to be project manager on that. And then when I came over to engineering, Paul Mokel, who's in our audience, he's the president of Valley Construction Management.
Mhm.
Paul was brought in to assist us on that project.
Okay.
And so they're not in the bidding process?
Valley CM, that is
number one.
Yeah, they are the highest ranked one.
Well, that one I already knocked out because of the price. I was like,
So my question is, you made mention that Valley's done this before?
Correct.
Right.
Oh, so they know what they're doing.
Doing, yeah. That's what Jake said.
Little bit
He
of a
kind of had a
competitive
little bit of an inside leg in doing
Yeah,
the bid.
and in some of the proposals, as Jake said, they offered additional staff. Others offered to help us during the bidding process. The project has already been bid and award. So it was just really attention to detail on exactly what the district is looking for.
Okay, thank you.
It says not to exceed the fee. Is there strong contingencies there to ensure that that does not occur?
Yeah, so all of our professional services agreements are read as not to exceed. And so the only way it can go up is with an authorized change order to that. And so the general manager has the limits and then the board from there.
The contract is in your board packet.
Right.
If you want to go through the more details.
Any other questions on this one?
Good.
Okay, think
And
this was again, the schedule. We have the pre-construction meeting already scheduled coming up. We have a very ambitious and eager to go contractor, which is great for us.
Mhm.
If the board recalls, we put in an incentive in their contract to finish early. And so with that, we're looking for 180 working days for completion. We're looking at October of this calendar year. But with that incentive, that could be earlier. We are already looking at supply chain issues that are still there. We're coordinating with SDG&E. We're looking at those long lead times. So we're checking the boxes that we know to check right now. Yes.
Question for you, and I apologize, maybe I should know this. But are these are these the ones we need?
Yes.
yes,
For the detached?
Okay.
yes.
Okay, then that's good. The next question then is, I just had a meeting with the Rainbow community. And one of the questions was, I thought this might be also for Robert. I thought we were talking that once these are installed, we thought August 1 that we would be comfortable about running them.
Well, this is the schedule here. So the working days actually takes you out to October. That's the 180 working days. Really that August date, that would be we did incentivize the contract. So we incentivized it up to there's a cap.
$200,000.
Yeah, so about a 40-day bring back, about an 8-week bring back, which is it's valuable to us. And so if they were able to meet that, then that would bring you back to that August date. But you're looking at somewhere between August and October, assuming no delays.
Yeah, the only reason why is because the residents would like to know a date that, since Fallbrook's already off,
Right.
they'd like to know when they start getting a cost savings.
Mid to late 2024. Mid to late.
Mid to
2020.
late. Okay.
And so, and
Really, we're looking at fall. And the falls are kind of our target.
we actually the engineering department went through our website, and when we have the contractor schedule, We have, it'll show all active CIPs with a projected schedule date. We were going to do the quarter of the year, so it'd say Q4 of 2024, but so that your constituents can go there as well.
Okay.
Okay, I think that is it. Any other questions on this?
So the recommendation is to award to Valley. That's the staff's unanimous recommendation.
Is there a motion? Any further discussion? Excuse me.
I so move.
Director Johnson moves, Director Mack seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Discussion and possible adoption of ordinance 2401, amending the updating administrative code chapter 2.06 committees in section 2.06.010 committees policies.
Yeah, so this was a board request, but really a chance to take a look at our admin code. We do review our admin code and really try to enhance the ability of all the ratepayers in Rainbow to participate in committees. Our administrative code, and there's a red line version in here, had a provision that not only were you a ratepayer, but also a resident and registered voter, which is typically a requirement for a board member. Have to be a resident within the boundaries and full-time resident. But for our committees who are advisory, that is not a hard and fast requirement. So in order to open it up to people that own property here, that pay a water bill here, that are interested in being on our committees, we propose some admin code changes, taking out that physical residence requirement and just making it a ratepayer of the district. Also just added a little bit of language that, if there is any kind of dispute of what that means, that the board has the oversight to say, who is a legal ratepayer, who is a ratepayer of the district. So just a couple little.
Doesn't change the participation requirements, which are already defined.
Correct. Yeah. The attendance requirements and things like that remain the same. So it's really just opening up to all ratepayers of the district to participate in our advisory committees.
Any discussion?
No.
I move we accept the changes.
A second.
Moved by Director Hamilton, seconded by Director Townsend Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Discussion and possible formation of an ad hoc committee for revitalization of the district headquarters facilities.
And I'm open to a name change on that. That's just the first thing I came up with. No, this has been something that the district and the board has been looking at for a while. I'm actually fairly new to it, and so this is really the slideshow was kind of my education.
You're not new to it. You had $102,000 impact.
That's true. That's true. But so wanted to run you through kind of at least going back to 2016. I imagine it was probably a topic even before that. But really the 2016 to now is kind of the relevant history of the kind of things that we've looked at. And so just a little bit of background, the district headquarters was built starting 1975. If you see the plaque out on front of the building, it was completed in 1976. So it's about 50 years old. The district owns, it's about 32 acres in total.
In this area.
Yeah. Really
in this complex.
There's multiple parcels, but this whole complex, right? So where the administration and operations buildings, as well as the lower yard, those are included in that 32.24 acres. They're not all usable. The parcel extends all the way into San Luis Rey Creek, the boundaries kind of go down there. So not all developable area, but as far as ownership goes, about a little over 32 acres. Yeah. And that's the point. So we'll look at some of the exhibits that have been done, but about 12 to 14 acres actually developable if you were going to develop the site for, residential or some other kind of use. Some of the constraints, obviously some critical habitat, you've got a creek bed down there. And so you've got critical habitat, federal and state protected species. You have flood boundaries that extend even beyond that. So the county flood boundary I know goes all the way up into that lower yard, which again doesn't necessarily preclude development, but there's more that goes into that, right? You've got you have to deal with FEMA, and you have to deal with the remapping of those zones and all those different things that have to go on. Wetlands area, that again, that's kind of down in that creek area. And then there's setbacks if you're, for any kind of a development, fuel modification zone, just building setbacks. Some of the other constraints of the land use zoning, so the land is zoned for our specific use for a government building. It could include schools and things like that, but kind of for those specific uses. And then also just some of the hurdles to, potential development. And again, we'll kind of get into this a little bit more, but just some of the things that have come up more recently as far as the vehicle miles traveled and things like that, the requirements that the county puts on any kind of proposed developments. So this really, again, kind of caught my eye right after the first of the year. We had a couple of not big rainstorms, but just a couple of storms that moved in, a little bit of rainfall. And we had some pretty significant damage actually to two of our buildings, both building 2, which is the where the mechanics bay is, and then where operations used to be, which is actually there is nothing in there. Well, there's an electrical room in there, a pretty significant electrical room, and but no staff in that building anymore. That's all kind of been quarantined, I would say. And then the other one is the warehouse building, building 3. Just a lot of roof leaks. We have our server room there, and then all of our inventory. That's our warehouse that houses our inventory. So really had to make some decisions on. And Chad's got some totals here, but just this event here in December, January. And I climbed up on the roof, and we took a look at it just to see, what could we do? Looked at a whole bunch of different options, relocating facilities, doing different things, but really came down to, in the near term, we need to protect those existing facilities, the server rooms and the electrical rooms, and there is a mechanics out there in our warehouse. And so at a cost of $102,000 to basically seal the roof, a new membrane sealant, comes with a couple-year warranty, or 2 years against workmanship and 10 years on the manufacturer. So is that all, is that going to protect us from all the issues? Probably not. But it's a, get us by kind of a thing for those couple of buildings over the years. And I'm not familiar with all these. Chad's more familiar. He went back through the last few years, but spent almost near $500,000 on just really band-aids on these things, and really still experiencing some of the same problems. We have a leak actually here in the admin building over by our customer service area that came through yesterday, and some things like that. So anyways, that's kind of current conditions. Since 2000, so this is originally 2016, we hired a architect to come in and just lay out some options, and they took a look at kind of the district needs and what's existing on site and what property you have, what could work. And they developed 2 different options, one being kind of a complete rebuild down in the lower yard. So that's the one on the left. That would be all new buildings. It looks like it's probably too close to the creek. It would need some, you'd need a little adjusting, but it was just really conceptual level on, and sizing and spacing of things to create a kind of a new yard. And then the other was rehabilitation of the existing. So now that's the upper area there on the right, more of a remodeled facility. It did add some capacity. So, addition to some of the admin buildings and creating an ops center off of that, and some storage areas and bins and things like that. So it looked at a kind of a complete yard up top. Cost for those was estimated. Again, it was just kind of conceptual level, so really, really high level cost, but not inexpensive. Option 1, looking at nearly $16 million. That's all new. And about $7.2 million on the remodeled facility option. So.
I wish we would have done it in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, no, I might step on you too. Because I was on the ad hoc committee, so was Flint.
Mhm.
And so we met with the designers and everything, and had many, and they came up, and I believe of making a housing project.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm
the
going
next
to
thing.
next.
Oh.
He started with 2016. He's working forward.
Oh,
I'm working
okay.
forward.
Now you're to
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was back in 2016, kind of a couple of options that were looked at. Yeah, now I'm going to move into. So that's what these are.
Okay.
So 2020, 21, 2021, there was a concept of, hey, what if we redevelop this site for residential use? And well, there was a market study that was done that said, hey, the highest value of the site would be a residential use, single family or multifamily housing. And so a couple options were developed, and so the option there on the left, that's more of a condo project. 165 units. And then the other option was a single family. So they're on the right. And the idea being, you would basically increase the value of this property and or come, agreement with a developer or something else, and we would move somewhere else. Go ahead to the next slide. Did we have the other site on there, the across the street site? No slide on that. Okay, I'll just talk about it. Okay, that's good. And so, and I think it kind of picked up steam because, with the sheriff facility going in across the way, the county sheriff acquired that site, and there seemed to be some collaboration or positive collaboration going on towards a potential mixed use facility. So straight across the street. And so I think the idea kind of caught some sales there. And but since that time, I guess have run into some headwinds on that site too. The sheriff, their time frame is long. They've got the sign out, but what we hear is it's a 5 to 10 year kind of time frame on them actually getting the funding and actually starting the development of that site. And also just determining that they wanted the whole site, that they weren't interested in having a site that included the water district as well. I mean, great idea as far as, shared facilities, build one boardroom and everybody use the boardroom and parking lots and, or whatever, these different things. But that's kind of where that ended up. North County Fire was also involved in that. And they're a great partner, here to us. And similar to the sheriff, they decided, well, we're just going to build on our site then, and they're going to build a building up on their existing Palo Mesa site, the facilities that they were
I
planning.
think the sheriff's decision drove them that way.
Yes, absolutely. There is still, on the sign out on the property there, it is still, they have everybody's logos on there. Apparently the sheriff is still contemplating, or they're entertaining the idea of potentially like a training tower for North County Fire. And so that's why the multiple logos are still on the sign. But in essence, they've said we need the whole site. It needs to be a sheriff's facility, and that's it. So that one kind of fell by the wayside. So continuing that option, and I'll go through all three, but continuing that option would then obviously lead you to some undetermined site, right? We would need to find a site, rezone it, and have some kind of a partnership where you build first before we actually relocate, right?
I thought Chad had looked into the rezoning.
We did briefly,
Mhm.
and as Jake alluded to at the beginning of the presentation, we were up against challenge after challenge after challenge. Specifically, the VMTs was one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, and that's another one of the headwinds moving into it, because it was really counting on the commercial area coming in down by Horse Creek. Yeah, down by Horse Creek. And that one's still a bit up in the air. I guess their map actually expires in October, and there's still some optimism that it's going to move forward, but there's some doubt too that it's going to. So again, kind of beholden to any kind of a development is kind of beholden to somebody else doing something first before we were able to do anything. And so, you know, there is there's multiple options. I mean, there's a lot to look at with the size site that we have here, and the existing facilities that we have and those kind of things. You know, and this is something that Chad and his group had looked at. And I know Chad's got some experience at a previous district with implementing something like this is, you know, basically relocating staff into temporary or modular as well.
Well, we've got experience with that too.
That's very true.
I have it twice.
Very true. And you know, so that's kind of an option, you know, and again, build in place, whether it's the rehab or anything. And I'm not really opining on what the best option is. I just don't have enough knowledge. I mean, I think there needs to be more put into it before.
I think the guidance the board had given the ad hoc committee was to try to find the cheapest way to do this and the most economical way to.
So another thing we thought about too was, you know, you do have that lower yard. And so if you were going to utilize the existing site, say, something that wouldn't bind you to a timeline, you know, somebody else's timeline would be, you know, and I know they looked at building new back there, but that's also, I mean, you have developable acres down there that front Highway 395, where you could probably shift some of, you know, we're stockpiling dirt down there and things like that. And Robert probably doesn't like to hear this, but, you know, shifting some of that probably wouldn't be the end of the world. So potentially there could be a cost offset by, you know, continuing to pursue a development option down there while you actually take your own path
and then
on this side.
Sell this out as something else.
Or stay here, right? But with a major rehab or remodel, but offset some of the costs by utilizing some of your property. But at least you put you on a parallel track where you're not running into, you know, development issues that continually delay. Start from the beginning again. And then, and that would kind of go along with option D if you're going to remodel or, you know, whatever you're going to do up here. Again, I'm not trying to sell any one option or the other. The ask was, do we want to reform or form an ad hoc committee to really start to push this forward again? Because I think, and I said this to I think it was the communication committee, but we got into a discussion a little bit about this because there was work going on. Just time's not on our side here in these buildings. So
from the meetings that I was at, that the company that Rainbow hired, they had, again, you saw the plans on multiple housing and just housing, and they came up with a number of, were you in that meeting? It was, I believe it was like 15.9 million, and that's on the low side. And if they would sell this, and because they did a price, and then the gentleman that said he believed, and there was multiple people on screen there, and they believed that there was a developer, and it was a big name, and I can't remember. And you might want to talk to Tom, but there was a big developer that most likely would be interested in this property, and it would be coincide that they were going to work like we get like 15.9 million. That would be on the low side. And then I did talk to you because Tom did show me the site he wants to buy for the switch. And you might want to talk to Tom on that, and I'll show you where it is.
I know where it is.
Yeah,
I do.
Went down by Doolin.
Yeah, it's kind of the
395
piece or whatever. Yeah.
And so way they worked all the numbers, it was going to be almost no cost to our rate payment. You wouldn't have to take out any money. It was going to work, and they totally believed they were doing they were checking all different angles, and it was going to be coincide. This would be being demolished at the same time our new facilities were being built, and it was almost a wash. And it's just like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
Was this in 2016?
No,
this is more recent.
220. It was just before COVID, and COVID kind of everything.
Yeah, then we couldn't meet anymore.
Yeah.
But it was, it was very promising.
Yeah, no, and
Well-
I understand that, you know, it did sound like there was some positive movement forward. The commercial development's going, that probably is going to help the VMTs. They're going to, I guess where we're coming from is, you know, revisiting these options
I
because
think we need to reconstitute the ad hoc committee and go back and explore and open up the discussions again that we've had in the past to see where we stand today and what our options moving forward.
Yeah.
I agree with Hayden, because you already have a committee. They just haven't
Yeah.
met.
Well, we had two, but the other gentleman,
Pam was on the committee and you were on the committee, right?
well, actually,
That's the board members that were.
well,
on
well,
it.
Pam,
Glenn?
Pam,
Tricia? Okay. Mike
and it was,
and Pam.
no, it wasn't initially Pam. It was the gentleman, that was near Bonzo Elementary. He beat out Bill. Yeah, Carl. It was Carl that he
Oh.
was on the committee, but he went through the, problem with his wife and he never showed up to any of the meetings. And so then when Pam took over, then
Ryan
Pam-
Flesh.
Right, Carl
Yeah.
Rindfleisch, yes,
Right.
yes.
Then
The
Pam
banker.
was appointed, but we never had another meeting. But
Well, I'd like to reconstitute the committee and pick up where
Yeah.
the pieces where we left off and see this thing move forward. Because as Jake says, when he told me about the 102,000, he said, we talked about the committee and talked about the options. And I said, I don't think you have a choice. This building's going to come down around our heads before anything.
And I think it's really just a planning step, right? I mean, we know we have big challenges in front of us as far as, the detachment related and the things we have to do there. We have facilities, replacement programs that need to be picked back up and, we need to make progress on those. So it's just one of those things that we know is coming and we want to have a good plan towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to also add that in the discussions, and I don't remember the firm, but they had a lot of different entities. And they actually then started talking to the Parks Department of San Diego. And then they were willing, there was another drawing that we were going to be able to get a little bit more land use if we would give them like a trail system. And that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it was all starting to mesh pretty good with that stupid COVID.
So anyways, I think it's time to kick that back off again and make it at least a planning priority.
So in terms of the existing committee members, we have the person from engineering. Is he still available?
Mick is no longer on the committee.
Okay.
He resigned.
I'm fine with, we're going to bring back the item in February to do these appointments. If we want to put that, and then maybe there could be some discussions on who might be a good fit.
Or the ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
I think that's appropriate, but I think we need to move forward with it.
Yes, I agree. So we'll make a note of that, me and Therese, to add that to the February appointments. And if you're interested, let Hayden know and we'll, we want to get that kicked off again.
Clint, did you say that Meg's not going to be on engineering and op committee anymore?
A different person.
I think that my speaking may not have been good. There are two people with very similar names.
Oh, okay.
There's Meg Gasca,
Right.
who I think is going to continue serving on engineering.
Yeah.
And then there was Mick Radigan, who was the member on engineering, who was also on ad hoc, who has now resigned and is no longer in service.
Okay.
Sorry to confuse you.
No, that's okay.
But we need to find a candidate to replace him from engineering. Right? Mig, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll bring it back to, for the next meeting to, formalize.
Okay.
Mid-year budget report.
Oh, Renee, make it sure. Just give me all the money.
No. Okay, hello. So I think some of you are aware, originally this was going to be an action item. We changed it to informational to give the new CFO a chance to review the mid-year numbers. I did want to just give you an update of what we are planning. They could change a little bit, but this is what we have so far. Is this not working?
It was working. Hey, try now.
Can you? Yep, there you go. Okay. So for the key changes for the operating budget, the biggest change is that we originally predicted 12,700 acre feet in sales. That is not going to happen. So we are lowering that to 10,500 acre feet.
That was a cut down from what was originally proposed.
It was fiscal year 23 sales were 11,800. So I think this 10,500 is more accurate. Due to that, our operating revenue did decrease by 1.5 million. Our purchased water cost did also decrease. One is due to the fact that we won't be purchasing as much water. Also, we did over budget on the fixed fees. STCWA had not released the final fees yet. So luckily we actually predicted higher than what they released. And then we also went through the departmental operating expenses and tried to cut where we could. So we cut 300,000. This is in your packet, but I also put it on this the slideshow. So this is the revenue and the purchase water. You can see the 1.5 decrease in revenues and then the 2.8 decrease in purchased water. And then these are the departmental expenses that we cut. A majority of that was due to cutting the travel, conference, training expense budget for all of the departments. We also, IT, Ahmed specifically went through his department and cut where he could on certain things. And there was also a position in engineering that we chose to leave unfilled for the year, which resulted in a $94,000 decrease. Now, here's our fun one, capital budget. For water capital, the increase is 741,000. The wholesale water efficiency project is a $3.5 million increase. And which is what Chad had mentioned earlier. And then wastewater is also increasing by 3.6 million. So the main things are the pump stations did increase by 3.5. A majority of the invoices for the pump stations were paid this fiscal year. The total was for the invoices that they were expecting was 6.76. 400,000 of that was paid in fiscal year 23. This fiscal year, we paid 6.3 million is what we're expecting, the remainder of the invoice. So that's a majority of that cost. Also, the construction contract came in much higher than the engineer's estimate. And then for wastewater, we did have a rollover amount of 3.6 million in fiscal year 23. We had budgeted for that. It was an expense, which is what we're moving over into this fiscal year. So that's that increase from the 5 million. It's a Thoroughbred Lane lift station. It's the third project on that list from 5 million to 8.6. So we moved the amount that was budgeted last year that wasn't expensed into this year. So just a quick summary. For operating water, we had a decrease in revenue of 1.5, but a decrease in expenses of 3.2, which resulted in a savings of 1.6 million. However, with our capital increasing by 4.3 million, the water net is an increase in 2.7 million. And then wastewater capital is expected to go up 3.6.
Yeah. And just because this is how, after I reviewed this over and over and over again, I finally understood it. We did actually, so we actually had a savings on the water purchase side, right? We had under budgeted on some, or over budgeted on a few items.
Yes.
And even the number of meters. So we actually had additional meters. We'd budgeted for a certain amount, but with the growth, so some of those fixed costs it's actually helped out with some of that. So that's actually turned out to be a positive. The the purchase versus expense. The real, I mean, the big thing is the capital project. The pump station project did come in about $1.2 million over what was just the bid itself, about $1.2 million. So that's that piece of that. The other part is just we're doing it a little faster than we had thought. So we're actually pulling money from what we thought was going to be in 24-25. We're pulling that into 23-24 because construction's starting like tomorrow. So we're going to be kind of moving through that project really quickly. Of course, that provides, the minute we finish that project, it provides significant savings to the district. So so it's a good thing, but it does impact this budget quite a bit just because we're pulling those capital expenses into this fiscal year.
Any questions?
And we're finalizing all these numbers.
Yes.
So we'll final them in February
And
to
this,
do the budget.
that's what I was gonna say. It will be coming to the board for approval in the February board meeting.
Who is replacing you when you're out of maternity?
Rick is here. He started on Monday, and then also Lauren.
He's hiding.
Well, also, he's not,
out.
he's the CFO, Lauren Warren. I think if you were at the Budget and Finance Committee, you did meet her. She is temporary filling in for me while I am gone.
Question. When are we gonna be addressing, or is that gonna be the new gentleman, come up with the money to finally pay off what we need to pay off to the water authority?
Yeah, so it's still on. That is in the works, and that's something, he's been here a day, but we had we had a long discussion last night. We've already actually started kind of looking at all the different options, whether we debt finance some of the capital to kind of raise cash to help with the exit fee payments or whatever. And we're looking at different options on that. So we've looked at, just going direct banks, we've looked at potentially some tax exempt bond sale. We've got 8 months or so to kind of figure all that out. And so we want to do again, kind of we want to look a little bit more long term as far as, do we want to refinance some of our existing debt? Do we want to, we want to look at all those things, and definitely wanted to give Rick the opportunity to put his eyes on that and put his stamp on that because that's what he does. And so that's the plan. We're really going to be hitting that during this whole budget season over the next few months. Again, we do have 8 months or so to get it done, but obviously it impacts everything we're doing moving into July, and then even beyond that as the pump stations finish and those things get completed. So so you'll start seeing it in the next few months as far as probably not in February. We'll probably give you kind of a schedule of events as far as what's coming March, April, May, and then you'll start to see it from there. Yeah. That was just info.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Review of meter replacements under registering accounts.
Yeah, so this is something information item we brought to, but happy to take your input on this. We brought this to the Budget and Finance Committee. We did the big meter replacement program 2019 to 2021, and I think it was late 22 started to notice we had to have some issues with some of our higher use meters, some of the and more instantaneous use where they were decoupling, right? We did the type of meter we had, and kind of the flow rates that were going through them caused some decoupling of the meters. And so kind of started a program to fix those. There's a different register you can use. The issue we were having was really supply chain, right? It was hard to get parts and things to actually fix the issue. And so, but as we've kind of moved through 2023 and those things got replaced, and we're talking about a small portion of we replaced 9,000 meters, and we're talking a few hundred. We don't know the final number yet. but we're working our way through those. And so as we're seeing those fixes now come online, you see normal use patterns start to register again. And so our policy is that when we have a malfunctioning meter for whatever reason, the policy is, we'll go back 3 months and basically back bill for the zero or low reads that were caused by the meter. Obviously, it needs to be verified, right? Once you get the new meter in, and it has, there's an obvious correlation there between the use. But right now, we're going kind of through this first batch that are starting back. We've got about 20 that fit the bill, and so we're planning on moving forward in accordance with the policy. The 3 months, I looked around. We're not the only district that's ran into this issue. Meter under reads for lots of different reasons, whether it could be programming, all kinds of different issues. Our code is actually on the lighter side as far as the back billing. That 3 months is kind of a short window. Most are 6, or take it all the way back to as long as it happened. But we just wanted to let the board know that starting in February, we were planning on doing that. A couple things we're going to do, just because it's not the most popular thing. I mean, we had water go and it wasn't accounted for. So that's really all we're trying to recover, is a portion of that. But we're going to send notices, obviously, to those residents that are impacted ahead of time, and then also offer, if they want to go onto a payment plan to, so it's not just a shock. If some of them aren't very big, some of them are bigger. So at least give that option, which we give it to all our customers if there's, if they're behind on their payments or whatever, but just giving them that option to spread that out if it is a financial burden. So, but we were planning on moving forward in accordance with the policy, and I'll take any questions if you've got them.
All my questions. A while back, when we started putting in these meters, Tom, I guess the staff were finding individuals that had undersized their meter, and it was just going like 24/7. And I believe we were going to somehow address that. And I know one of those people are in my district. And so, they're just trying to avoid, cut corners, which.
Yeah. And that's, we had a long discussion about this at the budget and finance meeting. That is kind of stage 2 of this thing. We're right now mostly concerned with just making sure our revenue recovery is there. But I think there is a next step, but I think it involves, we're going to have to engage legal a little bit and see, exactly what we can do. I have some experience with some programs that have been done to address things like that. Again, none of them are very fun. People aren't very fond of those kind of programs, but I think we want to, and we committed over the next few months to really take a hard look at the meter policy. We have seen a lot of downsizes over the years, just as, 200 trees, I'm watering 200 trees and then I'm not. And so we have been accommodating for a lot of those, and but really coming up with a kind of a stronger policy on how do we move the other way when things are going wrong and meters start failing because of high use and things like that. So but
it's avoiding capacity charges too.
Yeah. There's obviously fixed fees go with it too. So we're over the next few months, you'll probably see that too. We got to kind of dig into the policy and make sure we're kind of square, and that obviously bring that to you and get your input on it and move forward from there. But we wanted to start with this, and then that's kind of stage 2 of this program. Yep.
That sounds very proactive.
Okay. Thank you.
26, consider approval of notice of completion and acceptance of minor facilities constructed by customers district-wide.
I got this one.
Yeah.
This would typically be on the board's consent calendar. However, it was our only consent item, so it's an action item today. But anytime a facility, it could be a single fire hydrant, as in this case, or a single water service installed. Once it's complete, we want to bring it to the board so that we can record the project as complete. The customer, again, even if it is a single fire hydrant, still will warranty it for 1 year, and that begins once the board accepts it. So in this case, it's just this one for staff. We will add the $26,000 to the district's asset valuation. Staff is recommending option 1 that we accept this into our facilities.
Any discussion?
No.
Motion?
I also move that we take option number 1.
I'll second. Moved by Director Mack on option 1, seconded by Director Hamilton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Board members request for authorization to attend upcoming meetings, conferences, and seminars.
I know that when I went to the meeting yesterday, so Aqua is in May. And so that is going to be in Sacramento. I'd like to go. And I know in the past, we kind of have to, as soon as I guess trees that you find, you get notification,
Yeah.
you got to jump on that for those rooms. Just get. So I'd like to go to that.
I would like to go as well.
Betty?
May when?
It's, I believe it's the second week of May.
Yeah, I think she just.
She just said 7
Oh,
through 9.
Please.
Seven-
Yeah, okay, I think, yeah,
just
that's right.
include me and then it's just in Sacramento.
Right,
Mhm.
Right.
Used to be in Monterey.
Yeah, but
Right.
that's where hotel rooms are really
I know,
good
I know.
compared to Sacramento. Any additional requests? Receive and file information and financial items. Any discussion?
I just have one thing to add on the HR report. I've got invitations for each of you for our employee banquet on February 24th. So before you leave today, please get the printed copy so that hopefully you can join us.
Okay, thank you.
Currently, through reading that report that you did is very exciting to hear. No accidents were occurring, high satisfaction of staff, and the practices of hiring. So it was very impressive.
Thank you.
List of suggested agenda items for the next regular board meeting. We obviously have some carryovers from 2023, 24.
There's one, Jake, that
Yes, and then
In 19.
that's right. Yeah, and also we talked last month about the Construction Cost Accounting Act, opting into that. We started looking into just the requirements on the admin code changes as far as, the difference between purchasing and capital projects, and and that really more impacts the capital projects, and wanted to be, we kind of had a lot of action going on here, and wanted to be real clear on making sure that the admin code changes that we're proposing are appropriate and actually meet all the requirements of that program before bringing it back. So it just didn't make it into this January, but we do plan on bringing that back in February. Yeah.
Anything else? We're adjourned at 3:52.
Oh, bless you. I'm just